time and again. You've called your internet service provider asking, why is my internet so slow? You're trying to play your games, you're trying to stream your movies, and you're met with buffering, lagging, stutter stepping in your game that's severely hurting your performance. Usually, their typical response will be, well, have you tried turning the router on and off again? And then they'll make you go through the steps of doing it while they're on the phone, probably wasting your time. Additionally, my favorite, they say, we tested your modem and it looks great on our end. And what can you say to that? They're telling you that their network is fine, but you're seeing residual losses across all of your devices. There are some things that are going on in your network that you may not have noticed. Today I'm going to talk about several of those in hopes that you can make adjustments to your network that will improve your performance greatly. It would help or be useful to know exactly what your expected speed should be. Your ISP package should indicate what your download and your upload speed is. Now, take a moment to go to speedtest.com or Google speed test and run a test and see what your current performance is. I'll wait. Now that you're back, you can see that your speed is probably less than what you were originally told. There are a lot of things that can affect this speed test. For example, the distance you are from the servers. This is what's going to affect your ping. A lower ping, which is measured in milliseconds, is going to indicate how fast packets are traveling back and forth between your computer and the server. For example, you're watching a movie and it's buffering all the time. Typically, what is happening is you're watching at a speed greater than you can download the information to view on your device. When you're playing your favorite game on your console or PC, you shoot or you turn a corner or you take some action, your information has to travel to the server and then back to you, whatever response the server is giving. In a first-person shooter style game, it is critical that you have as low a ping as possible. You could be shooting at a location where an enemy was, but they're no longer there because you're lagging just a little bit. There are lots of factors that can affect how much of your download bandwidth is being used. If you have multiple devices on your network that are constantly streaming or sending information over the network, imagine the bandwidth that you have is a pie. That's what you have to work with. If you're streaming a movie, it's going to take up so many slices of that bandwidth pie, and then those are gone. Those are being used for the entirety of that movie. If you're wanting to do something else while watching that movie, you have to take away more slices of that pie to allocate your bandwidth to those things. For example, if you're streaming a movie while you're playing an online game, you are having a lot less of that pie being allocated towards one or the other. Now that you have a better understanding of your bandwidth and what you should be expecting, let's take a look at some of the items on your network and see what could be causing the slowdowns and keeping you from getting the speed that you expected. First, are you using your devices over wireless or a cable? Typically, you're not going to be using a wire for your phone or tablet usage. So you're going to be on a wireless router. There are several things that could affect the speed that the wireless router has and can offer. Wireless routers come in multiple bands, and each one of these has a different amount of data that can be sent over the air at a time. Take a look at this list of wireless modes and see the speeds that they're limited to. Often, they're going to default to an older mode to support older devices that can't handle the newer modes. If this is not a concern, you should log into your router and update that to a mode that's going to offer you more bandwidth. Oftentimes, your gaming console will come with wireless options, and you end up taking the easier route and go with wireless for your internet connection. If you're playing games that rely heavily on the speed of your network, such as first-person shooters or multiplayer games with live action, it's very important that you consider switching over to a network cable. Aside from your modes of your wireless network router, it's also important that whatever bandwidth that you've been allocated by your ISP has been properly updated within your router. Oftentimes, your router will limit the speed of your upload and download to match whatever the current configuration is. Some routers come with a speed test to determine this, given that often there are other network issues that could cause a slower speed test. This could severely limit what you have to work with as far as bandwidth. Let's talk about some of the components that connect to your router and your devices that severely inhibit your internet speed. And you may not even know it. That $3 network cable that you purchased for your internet isn't going to cut it. When you buy a network cable, are you more concerned about the length or the price? That's usually the go-to for the filters that most people use to shop for them. Oh, it's 15 feet long, that's all I need. Maybe I'll get a 25-footer, just in case I need the extra space. Well, I don't want to spend $60, so I think I'll buy this $6 one instead. And that's where a crucial mistake for your network could have been made. Take a look at your network cable and see what type it is. The different types are capable of offering different speeds over your network. Is it only going to support 10 megabytes? 100 megabytes? Will it support a gigabyte network? All of these are very important factors. If you have an ISP that only offers sub 10 megabyte levels, then this is probably not a concern for you. If you are on a high-speed internet and you're getting more than 100 megabytes per second, this next section would concern you greatly. The value that you get out of your cable is going to be important when it comes to the things that you want to do with your bandwidth. Take a look at the speeds on these types of network cables. Which one are you currently using? And does it line up with the bandwidth that you have allocated from your ISP? You should look at each network cable between the device that you're using and the actual ISP's modem or network interface. Each of these is a point in your network where your bandwidth could be limited. If you have a cable that only supports 10 megabytes of speed connected between your ISP's modem and your router, then the speed tests from your router are only ever going to peak at that 10 megabytes per second. Your ISP can test their modem remotely and see that they're getting the appropriate speeds, but they are not capable of seeing the speed between their modem and your router. That is up to you to manage, and often they will tell you this on technical support. Take a look at the cable between your modem and your router. What type of cable is it? Is it going to support your bandwidth? If not, spend the money to get the appropriate cable and connect it. While you're doing that, take a look at the network cable between your PC and your router. After you know what cables you're using on your network and making sure that they are compatible with the amount of bandwidth that your ISP has actually sold you, you're going to see a large performance increase. I'm going to show you an example of a speed test done on my network with two different cables. That's pretty disappointing for paying $100 a month for 1 gig. Look at the speed this cable has given me. It's under 100 down. The ISP package that I have is over fiber network and offers 1 gigabyte up and down. If you're not using a lot of internet, you may never even notice. If you have multiple things streaming, whether it be your movies, your music, or your games, you could run into some issues where things are starting to buffer. Now take a look at this speed test with a completely different cable that's set up for high speed. What a difference a single cable made. You can run these same tests over your wireless or with different cables to determine which ones are working for you. Now that you've seen the difference what a cable can make, maybe it's time you took a closer look at your own network and stop relying on technical support to try and fix the problems that they were just going to never fix anyhow. While you're on a wireless network, there are a lot of factors that can either interrupt or degrade the performance of your internet. A couple of those are router settings. It's possible that you're using a router that's set to a channel that's similar to other routers nearby. This can affect your performance because you have a collision or noise of radio waves between all the devices that are nearby. Oftentimes, people will install their wireless modem or router and have it set to full power, which is a lot longer range than they actually need for their device. This has more bearing on people that are in a suburb or apartment setting, as there are more devices closer together all sending signals on the same channel. One way to kind of alleviate this would be to go into your modem or router and adjust the channel that it's using to one of the other channels. Test it after you've made the changes to see if you're getting a better performance. Other issues that can affect your wireless performance would be microwaves. Surprise, surprise, that awesome little box cooking your dinner is suddenly making your movie buffer and you didn't even realize it. You just assumed that your internet was bad, but you forgot that Grandma was heating her tea over there. Sorry, Grandma, but you're interrupting our movie. The instance of microwaves that are leaking radiation when they're being used is hard to combat. You can try replacing the microwave or doing several tests by searching online for testing microwaves for radio leakage. One of them used, now without turning it on and perhaps unplugging it so you don't accidentally turn it on and ruin your phone, is place a phone inside your microwave and call it. If it rings, then there's radiation leakage in that microwave. This would be a good test to do on display models at your local appliance store to see if there's a radiation leak in the design. Unfortunately, for those in apartment settings, you may not be able to change your microwave. And not only that, it might not even be your microwave. It could be your neighbor's microwave that's causing interference with your wireless network. If you found this information helpful, please click the like button and subscribe below. You can also find me on Twitch, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment below.